Just so you know, every reading is recorded, right? So hope it's okay.
Actually, I just had a thought about the stuff that I scanned from the book. I was thinking, Jay, what happens to, because I know everyone got a copy of the scanned images. I was just wondering what happens after the reading. Like, it would be good, I think, if there was a way to kind of tell everyone to delete it, because I was thinking, is it like, because here people are very, I mean, in Bangladesh, we're just okay with copying and scanning whatever, but I think I was just thinking if this is allowed even. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes people are very particular
Yeah, I
about.
was actually quite aware of that as well, because especially because this is from like a small press,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, it's people that I know as well, right? So I think I'll just actually talk to them and see how they feel about it, right? I'll tell them that it's for the sake of the reading circle. I circulated
Hmm.
scans of it, but yeah, I guess if they say, we could ask everybody to kind of delete it, right?
Hmm. No, because yours might be okay because you're actually in
In
contact with the
touch,
people. I don't know the writers of this book. So.
Maybe
right? Okay.
Samira, I can just share the book or share screen.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I'm just thinking out loud because even I'm very much unaware. Sometimes I forget that the rules here about certain things are just quite different to how we've grown up.
Yeah,
So
because I mean, all the books come with the thing that no part
you
of
need to
it
take
can be
permission. Yeah, on all that.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a bit tricky, but I guess when you're doing a virtual reading,
Huh. Yeah.
everybody has to have kind of like access to
Yeah.
what we're
And
reading.
at such a short time, I don't think people could access it in any other way, right?
Yeah,
No, they
exactly.
should. Makes, yeah. Good. We have a case for it then.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Good question, Samir. I don't
We
actually know the
have
answer to it.
already, sorry, we have already Fiona, I think,
Right. Okay.
and Manjarin Sava. So if you would like to, and first welcome to our sister library, and if you like to introduce yourself a bit, that would be also nice. What do you think, Rumana and Samira?
Well, I'm happy for Humaira to introduce us actually.
Okay. Shall we start or shall we wait 4 more minutes? It's 7:06 here, so we have 4 minutes till 10, 7:10.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, then wait for 3 minutes
Yeah,
more.
we can wait. Yeah.
We could wait? Yeah. Thank you. All right. Okay, then I think we can start. Yeah, if it's okay with everyone. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sister Library. We know what it is. It's a giant, like it's something that we do. Her Story Foundation has been doing with Goethe Foundation, Goethe Institute for some time now. Here in the Sister Library, we read books by women. And today we have very interesting topic. We are talking about motherhood. And we have two elder sisters with us, Rumana Yasmin and Samira Ahmed, to talk about motherhood. And they're going to share extracts and we're going to read with them. Rumana Yasmin, our sister Rumana Yasmin, she is a mother of two, and she has her own publishing house called Bug Bug Books. And I love the name, by the way, Rumana. It's lovely. It's so cute because I have a niece and she's always bug bucking. So this is perfect. And she's like, Bug Book House is like dedicated to bring Bangladeshi illustrators and storytellers into like the literary world in a worldwide manner. And we have Samira Ahmed Apu with us, who is also known as the Millennial Ma. And she is the mother to Aryan, and she is a writer and air traffic control engineer. And she loves writing, she loves blogging, and she loves sharing her stories in her website, right? millennialma.com. So very excited to read about the books. Let's start with Rumana Yasmin Apu, and she's going to talk, we're going to read an extract from Making Kin, right? Before that, Rumana Apu, if you want to say something.
I actually just wanted to first add one thing about Samira. She's also the author of our upcoming biography series called Deshi's Create. And she's an amazing author, actually. So look out for her works. She's already done the first title and she's working on the second one now. So amongst everything
really
else,
excited.
she's also our author. So
that's so great. So publishing under Bug Book House, Bug Book
Yes,
Books.
yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an illustrated biography series on Bangladeshis who are making a difference in the creative sector.
Perfect. This sounds really fun. Yeah.
Super. So I think I'll start with the book that I'm going to I'll get to it basically, but let me just give you a background why I've chosen it. So I've been meaning to come to the circle for quite a while, and it just kind of never happened because of the time difference, right? And I finally got to make it for the last session, which was with Zarina and Saria, and I really enjoyed it. So I went back and sent a message to a friend who was also here last time. And I said, you have to come for the next one because I'll be leading it with a friend. And he was like, yeah, of course I'll come. And then I was like, it's on motherhood. And he's like, oh, are you sure it's okay for me to come? Isn't it a bit awkward? I was like, no, of course not. Why should it be awkward? Like, everybody's got a mother, right? Like, it should be fine. But he's not here yet, but I hope he does show up. But I can completely understand where he is coming from, because motherhood from the outside can seem like an exclusive members-only club, right? For only for women who procreate. And I was, I wasn't part of the club for 35 years, so I know how it feels to be on the other side of the fence, right? So I thought maybe I would start the circle by reframing what we can mean by motherhood, and instead of like looking at it from a narrow perspective of motherhood as procreation and giving birth to the next generation, I was thinking perhaps we could look at it from a wider perspective of care and regeneration. And so I was thinking, who can I turn to? Which female author can I turn to kind of reframe it? And so I instantly thought of Donna Haraway's. It's called Staying with the Trouble. And the book came out in 2016, the same year that my daughter was born. And I started reading it and I really got into it. It's got some like amazing, mind-blowing ideas. But I thought I quickly got into it, but I realized that Donna Haraway's biggest slogan is "Make kin, not babies." And I was like, oh no, I've already had my baby. It's a bit too late in the day. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll just put this down. It's going to mess with my head. But then instead, I kind of powered through it because I really liked the idea of her concept of making kin, because it kind of gives a positive solution as to how we can navigate through the troubled times that we're in terms of, what we're facing in the world with ecological injustice and humanitarian injustice. So I thought, yeah, making kin is quite a good concept, and I can actually kind of apply it to how I raise my children as well, because it's about reconnecting with all the things that we have lost connection with during the process of forming ourselves as human individuals, right? So it's connecting with the animal world, understanding that we are not just human. We are actually made by, and we make all the other species around us, right? We all affect each other. And yeah, so I really enjoyed that idea. So that's why I thought I'd bring this up in today's reading. So I'm gonna read from Staying with the Trouble. The chapter is called Making Kin. But I think what I will do is, it's quite, most of the chapter actually references things that she's already talked about and references other books. So I'll go straight to page 102. Yeah. And I think I will just start reading from the second paragraph, but not from the very first line. I think I'll start with feminists. So I'll just read the first bit, and then I'll just let others take over. Okay, so feminists of our time have been leaders in unraveling the supposed natural necessity of ties between sex and gender, race and sex, race and nation, class and race, gender and morphology, sex and reproduction and composing persons. Our debts here are due especially to Melanesians, in alliance with Marilyn Strathern and her ethnographer kin. If there is to be multi-species eco-justice, which can also embrace diverse human people, it is high time that feminists exercise leadership in imagination, theory, and action to unravel the ties of both genealogy and kin and species. Right. Is there anybody who wants to kind of take over with the reading and read the next section, next chapter? Sorry, paragraph. Should I carry on? Okay, I'll carry on for the next paragraph. And if anybody wants to jump in, do so. Okay. Bacteria and fungi abound to give us metaphors. But metaphors aside, good luck with that. We have a mammalian job to do with our biotic and abiotic symbiotic collaborators, co-laborers. We need to make kin synctonically, symbiotically. So these two terms, I looked them up. It's just terms that are made by Donna Haraway. So I thought maybe I should just give an explanation. I think synctonically means to do with the earth. Because Donna Haraway is all about we are made from earth, and when we decompose, we go back into the earth. So we're making ourselves with the earth, and we make the earth as well. So that's what she means by synctonically. And symbiotically again means making with each other rather than making ourselves. So who and where, whatever we are, we need to make with, become with, compose with the earthbound. We human people everywhere must address intense systemic urgencies. And yet so far, as Kim Stanley Robinson put it in 2312, which is I think a science fiction book, we are living in times of the dithering, a state of indecisive agitation. Perhaps the dithering is a more apt name and either the Anthropocene or Capitalocene. The dithering will be written into Earth's rocky strata, indeed already is written into Earth's mineralized layers. Synchronic ones don't dither, they compose and decompose, which are both dangerous and promising practices. To say the least, human hegemony is not a symptomatic affair. As ecosexual artists Beth Stephens and Annie Sprinkle say on a sticker they had made for me, composting is so hot. My purpose is to make kin mean something other or more than entities tied by ancestry or genealogy. The gently defamiliarizing move might seem for a while to be just a mistake, but then with luck appear as correct all along. Kin making is making persons, not necessarily as individuals or as humans. I was moved in college by Shakespeare's punning between kin and kind. The kindest were not necessarily kin as family. We know that. I won't go into that. Making kin and making kind as category, care, relatives without ties by birth, lateral relatives, lots of other echoes, stretch the imagination and can change the story. Marilyn Strathern taught me that relatives in British English were originally logical relations and only became family members in the 17th century. This is definitely among the factoids I love. Go outside English and the wild multiplies. Does anyone want to take over now? Or should I carry on reading?
I can do it if no one else.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit long.
And it's got like a few words that I probably stumble over. I'm like, but yeah,
okay.
symptomatically comes to mind. But yeah, well, I'll give it a shot. I think that the stretch and recomposition of kin are allowed by the fact that all earthlings are kin in the deepest sense, and it is past time to practice better care of kinds as assemblages, not species one at a time. Kin is an assembling sort of word. All critters share a common flesh, laterally, semiotically, and genealogically. Ancestors turn out to be very interesting strangers, kin and unfamiliar outside what we thought was family or gens, uncanny, haunting, active. Should I continue with the next part as well? Yeah, okay. Too much for a tiny slogan, I know. Still, try. Over a couple hundred years from now, maybe the human people of this planet can again be numbered 2 or 3 billion or so, while all along the way being part of increasing well-being for diverse human beings and other critters as means and not just ends. So, make kin, not babies. It matters how kin generate kin.
All right, thank you so much, Samira, for reading that. Yeah, I think with that, I would like to kind of welcome fellow moms into this reading, but also fellow kin makers. So I think my friend who was here last time, who was a bit worried about being part of this reading, you can feel welcome as well, because you may not be a baby maker, but you're a kin maker. Yeah, okay, so I think I'm gonna actually move over to Samira's readings now.
Samira, you are mute.
You're muted. Yeah.
Of course. Right. So as I was saying, I picked this book, The Magic of Motherhood, which is essentially a collection of essays from moms with different experiences. And one of the things that I try to do on my blog, The Millennial Ma, is that I try to talk about topics related to motherhood that's not always spoken about quite openly, because like Rumapu said, when we think of motherhood, there's a very specific kind of image that we have, and we don't speak about the other kinds. Like there are parents who adopt, there are parents who have infertility issues. So there's just so much to motherhood that's just not all, pretty babies and amazing super moms. And when I read this collection of essays, I felt like I could understand them a bit better, all the different faces of motherhood. And so I chose like a couple of essays from this book, which will hopefully help us kind of expand our that narrow image of what motherhood entails. So yeah, we'll just start with the first chapter. If you scroll down, don't remember which okay, right, being the village. So I think this ties in nicely with your one, Rumapu, because this I think also talking about uh, the village that you need to raise a child. So I'll start. Being the Village by Anna Jordan. I'm pregnant, she said, like probably 4 weeks along, maybe a little more. This particular memory is housed in one of the deepest, warmest parts of my heart. In my mind, the entire experience is encased in a rosy golden hue, my brand new baby daughter snuggled in the arms of my sweet friend Corinne, who would soon have her own new baby. I remember the sunlight streaming in from the hospital window, the smile on her face. I'm sure there was some noise in the hallway. I know that my abdomen was aching with the fresh wound of my C-section. I think a tray of lunch and maybe even a dirty diaper cluttered the hospital bed, and crumpled blankets lay around my legs. But those images are all muted in my memory. Everything stopped the moment she said those words. She was going to have a baby, the baby we had prayed for, the baby we had wept for, the baby we had waited and waited to meet. That baby was coming. Does anyone want to read the second para? Or
I can read.
yeah,
If anyone
go ahead. Yeah.
wants to read, please, you can raise your hand. Like, this is a reading circle and we read books. It's absolutely fine. So I'll start. Honestly, I had been worried about my friend visiting me in the hospital. She had spent 2 long, hard years trying to conceive her second child. After months of negative tests and 2 miscarriages, she worried, we all worried, that perhaps she would never conceive again. To add to the pain and complexity of it all, my third baby arrived unexpectedly. A surprise pregnancy that shocked us with joy and, frankly, quite a bit of stress. When I discovered I was pregnant, my older children were 2 years old and 10 months old. I hadn't even had time to think about a third baby, but she was on her way whether we liked it or not. As my pregnancy progressed, my feelings of joy and excitement, and even fear and frustration, were commingled with guilt. I had what my friend so desperately wished for, and more often than not, I didn't feel particularly grateful for what I had. But she was a good friend, a steady friend, and we had nearly a decade of Kamahadi under our belts. Still, I worried until she said the phrase we had all been longing to hear, I'm pregnant. Shall I continue, Samira? Or
Yeah, I could take over unless someone else wants to read. I'll continue then. Yeah. The birth of my daughter is always going to be significant. She's my daughter, but her birth also coincides with another incredible joy, the joy of my friend. We always talk about how it takes a village to raise a child. Baby showers and meal calendars are commonplace topics of pre-baby conversations. The people who love us gather around to help prepare for the new life. Before I became a mother, and then in my 5 years since joining the ranks of motherhood, I've been acutely aware of the benefits of having a village around me. On New Year's Eve day last year, all three of my children had a stomach flu. My house was a disaster, covered in beach towels and barf bowls. The baby only wanted to be carried, and my older two wanted to lie ahead. I wanted to lie head to foot on the couch to watch a movie, but, of course, couldn't stand to share a blanket, let alone touch. Fighting, vomiting preschoolers, and a needy diarrhea baby are not anyone's idea of a rocking New Year's Eve. There was no way any of us were making it to midnight. That afternoon, I was in the midst of what felt like the 300th load of laundry when I heard a light tap on my front door. One of my girlfriends was standing on the doorstep with a small box of dark chocolate peanut butter cups. Hide these, they're just for you. Good luck. Uh, anyone wants to join in? I think we'll just read maybe a couple of 2 or 3 more paras from here, or actually end it till this last bit, and then maybe choose another essay because yeah, I just don't want to spend all the time just reading this. Anyone wants to join in? Okay, I'll just carry on and just finish it off.
Oh, I said I can go for it, Samira.
Yeah, sure. We'll go ahead. Yeah.
So let me just see if I can. Okay. Just the next two paragraphs.
Yeah.
Samira? Okay.
Yeah.
I almost cried. Her midday treat drop-off wasn't a big gesture, but it was just what I needed. She knew I was spending the day caring for three tiny people who needed me desperately, and she took the opportunity to care for me. I suppose it's natural to think about all the ways I benefit from having a loving community around me. I've been consistently surprised by the generosity of my village and overwhelmed with the thankfulness I feel in being part of it. Is that all, Samira?
Yeah, I think either we can, read from your one again or just switch to another essay within this collection, whichever.
We can go with another essay from this collection
Okay,
because
yeah.
next what we're going to do is go on to the poetry.
Right, okay, yeah, okay, we'll do the next essay then on this.
Yeah.
Is it this one, Samira?
Yeah, we'll go ahead with that one, yeah. Okay, I'll start on this. 7 Pounds of Redemption by Tima Prosser. I don't know how to pronounce that, but don't have a baby. They ruin your body, she said. I was stunned that this was the first thing she had to offer me after having raised 3 children. I had said I wanted to be a mother, not take up smoking. It was a shallow excuse not to bring a child into the world. I remember being 100 pounds. I remember hating my body. I remember being shallow too, and this was long before growing a baby was even on my radar. I nearly killed myself for that number. I was light and frail, like a piece of old fruit shriveling up into nothing. My body hurt all the time. I wouldn't even drink water. I was always freezing. My skin was colorless, punctuated with clogged pores, and my eyes were yellowing. My external organs were corroding as if to prove that my insides were struggling. By the time I was 7 years old, I was already coveting the face of Katharina Zeta-Jones on a magazine cover. I do not know how that happens, how, as women, we go from babies blowing kisses to ourselves in the mirror to young girls pinching our bellies or dodging our reflections altogether. So many little things just added up. They went unnoticed until one day I found myself kneeling over the toilet, washing out the sound of making myself sick by running bathwater. Does anyone want to pick up from here?
I can go again.
Sure.
But my collarbones poked out, like jagged arrowheads piercing through my skin, and that is what mattered to me. I'd finally made it into the underweight category that I lusted after, according to the only BMI calculator that I worshipped. I was greedy for less and less and less. I celebrated my weakness, but I bled insecurity. The word ugly had a debilitating kind of dominance over me. If you had told me I was fat, I would have come apart, because that is what mattered. I was emotionally, mentally, and cellularly starving. It took me years to learn what I know now. Between 100 pounds and shallow, and now deep in the trenches of motherhood, my body has borne 2 children, 2 daughters, handcrafted inside my very womb, and my body still carries proof of their existences. I'll just read this paragraph. Yeah, Samir? Okay. They each brought 7 pounds of redemption, 2 years apart, 2 tiny girls, and a giant dose of clarity. It took my body swelling with child, my bones bearing the weight of another human being, the expanding, the shrinking, the scarring, the tearing, all of it, to triumph over all that my body really is. Does anyone want to go next?
I can read also.
Okay, Shama.
Now I have dark pools under my eyes and a valley where my belly button once was. I strayed through my days with hips my teenage self wouldn't recognize. Lines map across the mountains of stressed skin left over on my midsection, lightning bolts striking across my sides, proving I once too was too small to contain all of the love that filled me. Lines indicate that my daughters once lived inside me. They are all I have left to prove that we were once one and not two. My body that I hated so deeply before, built my daughters' bodies. How can I be ashamed of that? From the moment they were placed on my chest for the first time, the responsibility to teach them how to love themselves has sat squarely, tirelessly on my shoulders. I do not know how to vaccinate my daughters against the plague of self hatred that runs rampant among young girls. But to my daughters, I will beg, fall in love with yourself first. And I do not mean tolerate conditional praise yourself when you look good kind of love. I mean deeply rooted, white hot, irrevocable love at yourself love. This matters. On the day my daughters look up at me with their innocence still intact and ask if they are pretty, I will want to shake them by the shoulders and scream, yes. In that pivotal moment, I will not emphasize how beautiful I think the combination of their father and I illustrated on their faces is. Instead, I will tell them that their hearts have a strength that has allowed them to live. I will not put emphasis on the nearly perfect curls in their hair or the blue that swims in their eyes. They will know instead that they can see and hear and fully taste the flavor of this life thanks to the bodies that they live in. I will emphasize the knowledge, the truth, and the creativity that they store inside their heads. I will tell them that they have bodies that are capable, bodies that are powerful, bodies that give and demand nothing in return except love. Should I read more or anyone else too?
I can go if there's no one else.
Okay.
When my daughters are on the cusp of adolescence, stricken by their first gust of insecurity and dissecting their appearance, I hope they do not see the gap between their thighs that is or isn't there. I hope instead that they will see looking back at them the shell of the spirit that is within. I hope they know that the number on the scale is only the numerical relationship between their bodies and gravity. That number doesn't really matter. I will make sure that they know as women, as people, that their bodies belong to them. They will know that they do not have to be delicate or lovely if they do not want to be. I want them to know that they do not have to water themselves down to spare the intimidating of others. I hope they're unapologetic with their confidence. I hope they are a force to be reckoned with. I want them to know that loving your body means tending to it with care. It means listening to your body, moving your body, feeding your body the things that it instinctively craves. I do not care if that means juicing organic kale or treating yourself to ice cream, as long as it is done in love. I want them to know that when they offer this kind of love, their bodies will embrace them right back. By example, I will teach them that ultimately, loving yourself is the beginning of all victories, and that is what matters. My body is forgiving and strong and powerful. My body is life giving, able, and the most accurate reflection of the goodness I carry inside of me. Having children never wrecked that truth. It couldn't. Even my daughters know my heart. They knew it before we met, and they love me for it. To them, I hang the moon. The world may have ruined me before I knew them, but they made me whole again. I think that's the end of this one. Yeah, that's the end of that essay.
That
So
was quite powerful.
That is
yeah, that's one of my
amazing.
favorite essays.
You can like the change in her tone from the moment she started to believe that how important it was to love yourself. It
Yeah.
really,
Exactly.
you can feel
Yeah.
it. It's nice. Shall
Yeah.
we
The
move?
power of, yeah.
Yeah, true. The power. Samira po?
Yeah, but okay, I'll just continue reading this one then. Uh, The Glitter and the Glue by Anna Quinlan. Your father was the glitter, but I was the glue. That's the explanation behind the title of Glitter and Glue, the heartfelt homage to motherhood, written by Kelly Corrigan. The first time I heard it, I felt like she must have been spying on my life, that she must have observed the exact parenting dynamic in our home. When it comes to motherhood, I don't have a lot of glitter. I don't do summer bucket lists or busy bags or special dates with my kids. They are 3 and 4.5 right now, and these preschooler years are hard for me. My boys are willful and wild and illogical, as is to be expected, I guess. They have also recently discovered the joy of shouting the word fart at each other, and I just can't. I shake my head and walk out of the room. My husband, though, he's all glitter. He's fun and patient and able to act interested in fart jokes. He's a wizard at Legos and never adds peas to boxed mac and cheese. He will watch this infinitely and act just as impressed on the 27th jump as he did on the first. They adore him. We all do. Sometimes I'm jealous of what a natural he is, of how easily he seems to weather their tornado of toddlerdom. On my bad days, I resent him a little bit. I wish I got to be the fun one, but I'm not right now. I'm the glue. I know the schedule and the contact information and where the other shoe is. I remember to wash the blanket that comes home from preschool on Friday and bring it back on Monday. I know that we have to buy more laundry soap this week if anyone wants clean underwear, and that we should eat the rest of that watermelon before it starts to ferment in about 2 days. They would basically be boxcar children without me. They'd be happy, but they'd be feral. I'm the glue, and we all know it. Just, yeah. Do you want to join in? Anyone?
Okay, Rumana, do you want to go? Okay.
Yeah. So it's sometimes, right? Yeah. Sometimes I
Yeah.
worry that my lack of glitter means that I matter less to them. I don't expect them to appreciate all that the glue does right now. They're preschoolers, for crying out loud. But I worry that they might not see the ways I show my love. I worry about this all the time as well. I'm definitely the glue. I have
Same here.
zero glitter, zero frills, nothing. I worry that I'm fading into the background sometimes. No flashy Lego buildings or fart jokes to attract their spotlight. A few weeks ago, my 4-year-old developed a bad case of chapped lips. I tried to apply ointment several times throughout the day, but it was mostly futile because, well, he's 4. I figured I could sneak into his bedroom and smear one last application of Aquaphor on him in his sleep. Though since those nighttime hours are the only time he's not talking and moving with breakneck enthusiasm. So on my way to bed, exhausted, I tiptoe into his room. I climb the ladder into his top bunk and carefully move his legs to untangle the blanket and pull it up around him. Hang on a second. It's blocking the... Yeah. He feels floppy in my arms, not like the active little boy that he was just a few hours ago, but like the baby that I used to rock to sleep. I put a dab of ointment on my finger and touch it to his lips. He stirs. Without opening his eyes, he turns his head and croaks, "Mom." I am surprised to feel a lump in my throat at the sound of his gravelly whisper. Something about it is exactly the reassurance that I didn't even know I needed. He knows it's me. He didn't open his eyes, but he knows that it's me who's crawled into his top bunk in the middle of the night, worrying about him and knowing the remedy. Even in his sleep, he knows that it's my body next to him, my hands cupping his face, my tiptoes across the floor. It's not flashy or fun or glittery, but it's still my true love for him, and he feels it. This is lovely, Samira. Thanks for bringing these readings.
Yeah, I really like this essay too, and it's so like I could totally relate to this.
Oh yeah. I can
Because
relate
guess
to
who's
this,
the fun
and
one in my
yeah,
house? Yeah,
it's definitely.
Well, you could also
Yeah.
be the glitter glue. We have that as well.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We have
But it's not possible. When you're the glue, you don't have time for glitter.
Yeah.
That's what
That's
my
you know
sister
the energy.
That's it.
my sister always says that because I have a niece and a nephew from my eldest sister. I don't have my own child, but she's always like, she's the glue because she's the one scolding them, and we are the glitter. Like, even though we're not the dad or the parents, but
Yeah.
when the glitter, and
You're
she's
the
like
fun people.
them with all
Yeah.
the fun, and then it's hard for her to bring them all together again. So
Yeah,
I
that's
can
true.
understand how you guys relate, because it's for people who are the glitter like me, for the kin makers, so the glittery
Mm,
queen makers, it's easy.
That's it.
mm,
Yeah, and I love that all these stories are so close. Like even
Yeah.
Rumana, your kin making kin one, like
Mhm.
even though I haven't myself experienced motherhood, I have experienced making the kin part, right?
Exactly. I really feel this, that there is like a mother in all of us. We all have this innate need to nurture and love and make connection. And that is what is required of motherhood, right? So I thought that this idea of motherhood can kind of be applied to everyone, right? Everyone's experiences, whether
Like
you choose
I
to have babies or not.
Yeah, I sometimes say that, like even when I have a child, I'm gonna say that my first baby was my niece.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, for
I
sure.
always say this, that my first babies were my sisters.
Same here.
And I think you may feel that as well, Samira.
yeah, absolutely. Because if it's your sister or brother's child, it's almost good as yours,
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
exactly.
Same
Exactly.
feelings from my side also. My sister's daughter, she is my heart.
Yeah.
So I just feel same thing about her.
Yeah.
Actually, for me, I felt that for my youngest sister because we have a gap of 7 years. And
Mhm.
I always, even now, she's like well into her mid-20s. I still think of her as like a baby girl. Not a baby girl, but like my child, and so protective of her. So, and this is way when I was a child myself, I was 7 years old when she was born, but I always felt that way for
Yeah.
her.
It's a beautiful feeling. Like it's hard to
Yeah.
explain. Like when we have for our office, like in Her Story Foundation, when we are talking about how our weekends went. So most of the weekends, I'm talking about how I spent time with my niece and my nephew. And I'm sure my colleagues, like my coworkers, are tired of hearing stories from my niece and nephew, but I'm just so in love with them. And
Hmm.
yeah, like they're making me feel motherhood in a very different way that I haven't
Yeah,
felt.
that's it exactly. It is such a beautiful feeling, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
yeah, lovely to know that you're having an impact on somebody else's life, and they will remember all the times that you spend with them. Because I
Yeah.
mean, we do, right? All the
Absolutely.
grown-ups who
Yeah.
have given us time, they have a special place in our hearts, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, and same my like even though we had a Eid festival, so whenever I have sent any Eid wishes, I already have sent the picture of my niece. I mean, she was holding a card Eid Mubarak, and I'm sending her picture. So it's kind of like I always try to bring her somewhere wherever I want to I can share. So it's
Yeah.
different, yeah.
That's so true, Shomapu, because my Instagram used to be filled with my travel photos, but in the pandemic, it's all full of my niece's photo. So we're obsessed with them, aren't we? So I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
super. Samir, do you have more for us?
I think I had one more, but we don't necessarily have to do all of them. I just want to keep some options, Rama, but we can do your poems now because I think we're almost
I've only got 5 poems.
okay.
Humaira, how much time do we have?
We usually continue for like 1.5 hours. So we have
Okay.
30, 40 minutes in hand. Yeah.
Okay, I might have to leave around 20 minutes mark because I have to jump on a work thing.
No,
But
sure.
Right. Okay.
let me just continue with this. Unfortunately, I just realized I had a meeting exactly starting at the time when this started,
Oh no.
but that didn't go that there's something happening with that, so I need to go and sort it. It didn't really start. But yeah, I can do this one. This one's a bit I think a bit more serious, but quite a good read. Let me just do this.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sure.
yeah. Bad Math by April Haas. It's the same two questions in every form. Number of pregnancies, number of children. My answers shine back at me impassively, not unlike fresh blood. 2, comma, 0. Two pregnancies, zero children. That's some bad math. My first pink line popped into view on July 15, 2011. I know this because I took the test on a whim just before heading out the door to meet friends for the last Harry Potter film. A sign if ever there was one. Our dogs are named Sirius Black and Lily. Major fandom happening here. And it had been so easy, like magic. We tried on a whim, and after 1 month, boom, pregnant. 1 plus 1 would equal a family of three. Good math. By August 21st, things looked much different. I was at a birthday party, and I remember studying the sun as it set in a purple sky while the cake was served. I excused myself before taking a bite, hoping I'd imagined the sudden sense of cold. I'm not sure who threw away my slice when I left the party in a panic. Several days of horrific uncertainty and equally horrific tests would pass before I was declared unpregnant. Then, on a Saturday morning, 5 days after the abundant birthday cake, I would drive from a gas station to the ER, soaked in my own blood, my car seat filling with it. More doctors, more tests, and into the operating room I went. I had to sign a waiver acknowledging I understood I may never conceive again. The nurses offered me warm socks after that. They were no use. I stayed cold from the birthday party till Christmas. Does anyone want to
I can read.
read the next bit? Yeah, go ahead.
Any,
Yeah.
does anybody else want to read? Anyone else?
Yeah, I could go. Sorry, I was on the road, so I couldn't read before that.
No
I can
worries.
take over.
Yeah.
Cool. Flash forward to July 15, 2012. In the most unbelievable, downright bizarre twist of circumstances, I got another pink line. 2 months of trying plus one vacation, and boom, pregnant. A pink plus sign said it was so. Maybe now I could balance the equation of the year before. This one was going to make it, of course. Any other alternative was too cruel to be possible. No, this pregnancy would go the distance, and come March 2013, I'd be back in the same hospital, only this time I'd be holding my baby, not signing liability forms. But the story is in the numbers, right? My husband and I went together for my first doctor appointment, sometimes mid-August. Given my unfortunate history, I was given an ultrasound on the spot. We stared in wonder at our tiny blinking miracle. I remembered the waiver and smiled. The OB seemed far less victorious. She said our baby had a slow heartbeat, then moved her face closer to the black and green screen. She ordered tests. My number should be doubling, she said. I'd get blood drawn that day, and then again 2 days later. Yeah, anyone can take over, or I can continue.
If you want, you can, or I can go after you.
Okay, I can. Yep. I flung this math test too. Like so many before it, my numbers didn't double. They hardly increased at all. A second ultrasound showed no heartbeat. By now it was late August, the 21st, exactly 1 year later from my first miscarriage. Impossible. What are the chances? Seriously, I'd like to know the exact probability of that happening to a person. Talk about bad math. Yeah, you can take over now.
Thank you so much. Okay. So, with a deep sense of irony and an ever deeper sense of despair, I began my second miscarriage. I say began because the thing about having a miscarriage is that it's not over when it's over. First comes the medical miscarriage, then, after all the exams and appointments and text messages, after all the nurses and doctors and medical residents inspecting you and talking about next steps, as well as casually, innocently asking who wants burritos for lunch, because this is their job and they see it every day, and who can blame them, comes the emotional miscarriage. Your schedule clears up, no more running around town trying to save this little human you already love so much, but your inbox fills. So many I'm sorry's to read, so many thank yous to send. You reply with so many I appreciate it and we're good with meals. They mean it, they are sorry, and you are sorry. Sorrow all around, sorrow everywhere. You wonder if that is what you are, a billion cells of sorrow. This is breaking my heart. Um, this is really sad. By the latest calculations, I've had two miscarriages in 12 months. Things got weird, lots of Netflix, lots of homemade margaritas, an endless parade of yoga pants and worn college sweatshirts. My husband watched me from the kitchen, then he watched with me from the couch. I noticed, though, around the first edges of spring, that I was starting to feel different. Not better, forget better. Better is beside the point. Different, that's reasonable, because you may never feel better. I don't. That's the other thing about having a miscarriage. A miscarriage may very well start to have you. It robs you physically and emotionally, ransacking your gut and your heart. Then it sets its sight on your head. It will rummage through all of your drawers, having taken much of your dignity, some of your dreams, and more tears than you can count. It looks for what else it can steal. Does anybody want to continue from here? If not, then I can. Samira, shall
Yeah,
I?
I'll continue. I'll do, yeah, take over. My husband and I brought our son home 2 Novembers after miscarriage number one. We had been journeying toward him since we were teenagers, talking about adoption over nutshers and cherry cokes. Do you know that miscarriage compels me to over explain how much he is loved and wanted? I feel the need to let everyone know we started the adoption process 2 years before I ever became pregnant, and that our beautiful boy is by no means some consolation prize or plan B, but our teenage dream come true. See, there I go again. I'm not better, different, not better. There's something else too, something I'm afraid to talk about because people will think I'm crazy or worse, cliche. On that birthday party night, the first time subtraction got the best of me, something happened around midnight. By that point, I'd been bleeding for a while, and we'd sent all the texts to to all our people. The hospital told me to come back the next morning. Nothing could be done. So I lay wide awake in the dark, weeping intermittently and getting really angry. And then I heard God speak to me. I know, I know. I'm not saying if my mom or my friends or my co-workers were in the room, they would have heard a voice from above. They wouldn't have. I didn't hear an audible sound. Nothing shook or began to smoke. No smells, no bells. I'm saying that in my dark night of the soul, my heart heard two words: keep reading. Keep reading. I clung to those words through the rest of the night and the rest of the tests and the rest of the year and all the way through the next terrible August. My knuckles turned white around those words. Keep reading. I held tight to the God who had to tell me over and over I was not a bad math problem. I am, a story. One I'm still trying to read. And like all stories, there are good parts and sad parts, chapters that make me shift in my seat and scowl, plot lines I wish I could edit. But the ending is guaranteed to be good, and I can trust the author. This is what made me feel different, not better. This is what got me off the couch of Netflix and back to me. A stronger, more scarred, more excited version of me. I kept the warm socks on and I turned the page. I would love to pass out warm socks with the little sticky things on the sole to every woman in the midst of a bad math problem of her own. I would say, hear this, you're not bad math. You're not the 9 weeks you can't get past, or the 3 years you've been trying, or the twins you never got to meet, or the one-child family you never wanted to be. You might have terrible math, but you're not terrible math. You are a story. You are a work in progress. You're on the way to feeling different. In 2 months or 2 years or 2 decades, you will wake up to yourself again. Keep reading. Yeah, I think that's the end. I really wanted to, I know it's sad, one, but I really wanted this to be a part as well because I think even now people don't realize how common miscarriages are. And there's so many people who live in our midst with infertility issues, and it's one of the biggest pains of many people's lives, women especially, as you know, they're the ones who are normally bearing children. And I have people very close to me who've suffered and are still suffering from this pain. So I always feel like if the society understood how many people are suffering together in this scenario and how common miscarriages are, then people wouldn't feel the need to hide it or blame themselves. And just overall, the stigma attached around these incidents would be lessened. So that was kind of my intention for including this for the reading.
That was a beautiful piece. I remember like just after completing my A-levels, I started working part-time at a diagnostic center. And the cases, I saw so many women and like so many couples coming to the, like I used to work at the, like I was a content writer there. So sometimes I would help with the reports and the ultrasonograms, and I saw the struggle, and it really broke my heart. Like there were people coming back for months, and they kept trying, and they tried everything, and you could see that no, there it hurts. Like as an outsider, I've never been there, but I can see it. It's really something that's very difficult, and this chapter really spoke, like showed it to us in such simple words. So Thank you, Samira, for sharing.
Yeah, I'm glad yeah, that we had some time to read this one. Okay, I think Rumapu, do you want to start with your poems?
Thank you, Samira, for all those stories. They were all so poignant, so relevant, right? And especially the last one, I am still feeling a bit emotional over it. But like you said, it is something that should be talked about, because often we are, you know how it is. We're asked, once you're married and you can bear a child, you're allowed to bear a child. That's the question that's always on everybody's mind, whether they know whether you're trying for a child or not, whether you've had a miscarriage or not, but you constantly get asked, and it must be very painful if you've gone through that experience and you're still being asked, right? Because it's not something that's within your power. So yeah, that was really beautiful. Thank you, Samira. That was a great selection. I think what I'm going to do is start off with one of these poems from the book, and then I'll let everybody else carry on with the rest of the poems. The poem is from this book called Why Moms Are Amazing. And this is actually a zine that's been published by the Mom Poet Club, and they're known as the Mom Poet Press on Instagram. And it's just basically a collective of moms who write about their
I
experience.
started following them up after you mentioned.
Oh, have you? Yeah, they're really great. And yeah, it's just everyday experiences of motherhood that they write about. And they just put it forward so beautifully in words. So I thought, yeah, this would be a very apt reading for
Can you share the Instagram tag like handle again?
I think it's called the Mom Poet Press.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I could send it to you in the chat, possibly. I'll send it to you, okay, later on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, so the first one is called Hold On, and it kind of ties in with what Samira's story talked about our, body image as mothers. Our bodies change drastically when we have children, and there's always this pressure to bounce back, right? And that's just never going to happen, right? But that pressure is always there, and we actually start hating our bodies, right? And because we think, oh, it's gonna happen, it's happened to others, we can do it to ourselves as well, if we really put our act together. But it doesn't happen. Our bodies don't work that way. Yeah, so I think it's really important to actually also, since I have a daughter, I have to show her that our bodies are meant to change, right? It's okay for bodies to change, and it's okay to, not fit the bill as it is put out in the media. And yeah, so I think I'm just gonna read on. Okay, this is called Hold On. She woke in the early hours, wouldn't settle. The rest of the house far away, asleep. So we bundled ourselves up on the spare room nest, duvet laced with crumpled clean clothes waiting to be folded. All she wanted was to hold my saggy tummy. I'd move her hand away, embarrassed. Each time she'd move it back, hold on as if only this was what she wanted, was what she needed. This part of my body would make my teenage eyes burn and my tired mother eyes turn away. The crinkled tissue paper skin I'm left with since she left me. But in this moment, this part of my body was the only comfort to send her precious eyes to peaceful dreams. This new layer of love for her and my body wrapped us closer together as we curled up tightly. And I told myself, hold on to this. Right, so this poem is by Laurie Ann.
It's really, really beautiful. Really good.
Right, and I think the next one is called Holding On, if somebody wants to read it. Or should I go?
I can
Saiful?
go.
Yeah, great.
Yep. Cool. Holding on. When we are apart, I see small children, orangutan arms lifted, that's so true, to be helped up steps, babies wriggling in patient lap, sturdy legs attempting a lopsided sprint, miniature waists caught by kind hands, 5 more minutes shouted across air, and I'm reminded of the constant motion of it all, the ceaselessness, onward, forward, leaving behind small sweet moments lost to time. The constant rain of tiny needs, a swirling storm only visible from the outside. You can't really see it when you're in the middle, just trying to hold on. Yeah.
I love the illustration. It's yeah, so
It's
many hands trying to reach for the mom. She's like this
Yeah,
whirlpool of
exactly.
yes,
movement and trying to get everything done. It's so cute.
Exactly. It captures the
yeah.
chaos of it all. And
Yeah.
actually, when you are in the middle of it, you don't realize that how chaotic it is, right? Um, yeah, it's only from the outside that it seems like, oh my God, how's this
That's
happening?
true.
Right, okay. So the next one, which one is it? Tale of Two Squirrels. Should I read this one? Yeah, I'll go for this one. Tale of Two Squirrels. The leaves on the catalpa have gone gold with age, and the sky is an enamel bowl, practically cerulean. I see it through the bathroom window where I sometimes come to hide while you are crying, where I sometimes stand while you are sleeping and I cannot. Bare feet on the cold tile, exhaustion on my heels, where I once watched a young squirrel grasp a thin branch in terror, his mother below, too heavy to follow. Eventually, he dropped, paws stretched to tiny brown stars, landing on the grass unharmed. With her teeth, she lugged him back to their nest in a series of Herculean leaps. I was too tired to make any kind of lesson out of this, only knew that I felt like both squirrels, somehow. Waiting, tending, letting go, carrying and being carried all at once. Should we move on to the next one? Anybody else want to read?
I can do this one.
Yes.
Bath time. Mother stands in the tub, face to the flow. Child sits ribs deep at mother's feet, drowning a duck. Glee ripples across child's face like a pebble in a pond as duck bobs to the surface, defiant. Mother offers her limbs, the gentle soaping they beg for, water slipping over her body onto child blinking in the spray. Child loops an arm around mother's scarf. Mother knows duck's plight, tortured, unsinkable. She should gasp for breath, struggling, spluttering as grief's strangle pulled her under. There were times when she hoped to drown, but she bobbed to the surface, defiant, and swam. By
So
Laura
I don't have
Bamford.
kids myself, but this is beautifully written. But I just remember with my niece and nephews that it's not exactly like that. It's more of a tsunami with them when trying to give them a shower when they're kids.
That's it, exactly. It's not as peaceful as it. Yeah, but this is a bit dark, isn't it? I was thinking it kind of captures, there are dark moments during
In
while we
motherhood.
are, yeah, in motherhood. So
I have,
this kind of captures that feeling.
yeah, and I think a lot of people feel this as well. I think through the year, right after having a baby, if I'm
Yeah.
not wrong. Yeah, like I've talked to a few people who have felt this, and they said how real this was, and
Mm.
something they couldn't control.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just it's your hormones, right? For
Yeah.
a lot of it is to do with hormones, and then you are also kind of, it is an isolating experience. So yeah, I think this kind of this poem really beautifully talks about that negative feeling that we go through as mothers.
And also because a lot of people find that they can't really share because people don't
Sure.
understand it, or it's not the perfect image of being the doting mom that everyone thinks is the norm, um,
Exactly.
which I guess makes it even more isolating.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Right.
I can read the next one.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. That's the
Oh, this is
longest
so
one.
cute. Overlooking the mother lode. Although some of us built a human using our bodies, we are not goddesses, domestic or otherwise. Our bodies house the aches and pains from lifting whole humans, shushing and feeding. We are bodybuilders and endurance athletes. Although our ears are attuned to our child's cry, we don't have superpowers. The force that compels us out of bed is the heady mix of love, duty, and anxiety. Always on call, we are emergency responders. Although we can usually settle our children, we are not psychic. We learn their ways of communication and their favorites through hours of observation. We are translators, scientists, and anthropologists. Although our heads hold a library of information, this didn't come as a download or as divine inspiration. We read hundreds of articles and books, asked lots of questions, and learned the hard way. We are amateur psychologists and resource acquisitioners. Although we can predict future tantrums, we are not fortune tellers. So much strategizing now goes into leaving the house, planning a day, and packing a bag, including snacks. We are project managers, forecasters, and chefs. Although we can make magic happen, we are not magicians. The surprises, the presents, the meetups, the excursions, the decorations, the photos, the memories. We are event coordinators, diary schedulers, and entertainers. Although we have been changed so much, we are not ever patient angels whose nature and knowledge was transformed in the moment of becoming a mother. We are conflict managers, hostage negotiators, reconciliators. We are not magic, we are human.
Yeah, I think I chose this one because I really hated when I'm called or anybody's called a supermom, because it just puts so much pressure on you, like as if everybody needs to be a supermom, but nobody is. We're just all
Nobody
kind
is.
of
That's
trying
the
our best.
funny thing.
We're all kind
People
of
who get called
trying
it,
our
they
best.
know. They know.
Exactly. And if they see, if you, okay, my background's okay, but if they actually see the foreground of where I'm sitting, it's an absolute tip. So yeah, there's no such thing as a goddess, or haven't got superpowers. We're not psychic, none of that, right? We're just human trying our best.
And also, I think some people's strengths are more visual. Like, for example, some people are very good at keeping the house clean. I am not one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And that's visual, right? So someone sees that, like, oh, and that kind of gives off a feeling of that person having their act together, whereas maybe inside they're just, crumbling, or they're struggling to manage their mental workload. So yeah, different humans, different strengths, and the same thing for moms and dads. They're just bringing their own strengths to the table, and it doesn't have to be the same for everyone.
Yeah, I also found it interesting, the spelling of load, because it's,
I don't know, I was thinking that too. Load is a story, right? Like so she probably put a spin on that, like a fun kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, because we talk about the mother load, right? But I was thinking, what could this load mean? Any ideas, Saiful?
A rich source of something.
You're the word guru.
I don't know really. I thought it's something about extracting the power. I thought load is like the.
Yeah, it could also be that, like load of minerals. I've thought. Am I wrong? We can always
It's
Google.
a nice twist, yeah.
Yeah. Quite interesting. Yeah. So I think that's where we're going to end today. This is the last poem, isn't it, Humaira?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I've sent everybody the handle for the for their Instagram, for the Mom Poem Press, if you're interested.
Yes, thank you. Like really, I thoroughly enjoyed everything that you shared. Both
yes, same here.
Yeah, like it was lovely. Like I know some words from the first extract went whoa over my head, but from making kin, but it's the idea that was lovely, because now I feel like I belong in the same motherhood that we are talking about as well, because I'm a kin maker. And
yeah, that's it exactly.
it makes me feel different. Like like I have babies too, so it's interesting. And I really enjoyed all of your Samira, for all the extracts, because you took out so many different aspects of motherhood, right? Like from struggling to have a baby to finally having a baby, and then after you have a baby, the body image that you have of yourself, and how you can spread that love to your offspring. And then these poems, they're so simple, they're beautifully written. Rumana, exceptional selection. I love them all. And
Thank you.
I'm so glad that through this sister library, we got to chat, we got to talk, and I got to know both of you, and Saiful Bhai and Shaumap and everyone else who was here. So thank you so much for
Yeah.
this lovely.
Thank you for
Thank
having.
you for inviting us. Yeah.
Yeah,
It'd be great to, come back here.
yeah, absolutely.
Super.
Definitely.
Thanks everybody for joining.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It is really lovely reading. It was, I mean, I enjoyed a lot. Thank you so much for this
Hi,
lovely
do you,
selections.
do you have
Yeah.
something to say? I think you wanted to say something. Did you want to
Who
add
was
something?
it? Ah,
Saiful? Huda?
Sorry, I just want to say thank you, especially Romana, for convincing me to come. Disappeared. So no, thank you. This is it's already been discussed by half sisters, and I see Romana and these. I can only admire the patience and what they have to do on a daily basis. So this was lovely. Sorry I couldn't join earlier. I was on the road, but thank you very much,
that's
guys.
okay.
Delightful. Thank you.
Okay. Saiful, the first part of our reading was actually dedicated to you. But but you know what? I'll just give you a call and I'll go over it again, okay?
All right.
See you. All right, take care. Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Everyone, thank you
Bye,
so much.
everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye.